Hello everybody, I'm Carmen Quaid, lecturer with Charles Sturt University. I've prepared a short video for you to help you with preparing your assignment 2 for ACT 518, Current Developments in Accounting Thought. Myself and all of the other lecturers and staff involved in this subject really want to read a fantastic set of well-prepared assignments. We want you to get some excellent marks, and I've prepared this video just to help you do that. I hope it does the job. So what is required? We're looking for an assignment around the 3,000 words in length, and it's a review of current accounting issues. Its value is 25%. Now, a lot of students get a little bit hung up on the word count. It is a guide. However, if you've prepared the assignment and you think you're completed and it's about 2,000 words, have a look over the question, make sure you've interpreted it correctly and that you're covering all of the material in the depth that we want you to cover it. Again, if you're up around the 5,000 or 6,000 word mark, you might be a little bit concerned that you're not answering the questions as succinctly as possible, or perhaps you've put a lot of extra material in which won't actually attract you any additional marks. So have a read over and perhaps consolidate and summarise the information that you've already prepared. So what are we asking you? In your accounting career, you're going to be required to analyse current accounting issues and communicate your theoretical understanding to your professional colleagues and to your clients. When things change in accounting standards and in the accounting environment, as they will across your career, you're going to have to be able to explain those changes, both to your colleagues and to your clients. So in this assignment, assume you are a senior accountant working for a major firm. You're like one of these bright young things. What do they have in common? Aside from perfect teeth, they've all completed this subject, and they're all off in the workplace communicating their understanding of developments in accounting to their colleagues and to their clients. So in this situation, the CEO has forwarded you an interesting article and requires you to provide her with a deeper theoretical understanding of the issues discussed so that she can fully engage in the lively discourse at an upcoming conference. You know, all of the politicians that we see on television, the media stars, lots of public figures, don't do all of the reading and research themselves. They've got a team of staff behind them who actually go through, analyse the details, research the issues and prepare briefing papers for the senior people in their organisations, for the politicians, so they can communicate to the media, so they don't look stupid at a conference, and so that they can fully engage in the lively discourse, the lively conversation. Now, this is the role that we're asking of you in this assignment. So, you're required to find a newspaper article or web page. Have a look at the date here. It's got to be published after the 1st of June 2016. It may also come from one of the professional journals. We don't want an academic paper. They don't contain newsworthy articles. They're more research-based. So we want something from a newspaper, a newsletter, a web page, discussing some current accounting news. We've provided a link there. You can follow that from your subject outline and have a look at an example article from the Sydney Morning Herald. What we would like you to do is actually link the concepts, the ideas and the facts from this article to what you've already studied this session. So lots of the articles you might be able to link to the issues of measurement, some of them perhaps to critical accounting as you progress with your study of that subject, some to the environmental issues, perhaps some to normative or positive accounting theories. So we want to see you connecting what you have learnt in this subject with what you're reading in the media articles and using your discussion, your report to explain them. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the rubric which is provided in the subject outline. I don't think enough students actually concentrate on what the rubric is trying to communicate to them. Basically, it's showing you where to put the effort into and explaining perhaps in a little degree a bit more about what we're after. So here we want you to provide a copy of the news item. If you're providing a link, you get no marks. If you provide a copy of the item, cut and paste into the article, scanned in as a picture, 1 mark. If you don't provide it, no marks. We want you to provide a description of the major issues, a nice clear summary. See, however, it's only worth 2 marks, so we're not wanting you to spend a lot of the 1,500 words you've got on this area. A nice, brief, clear outline. What's important? Identifying the key issues. So if there are some issues there, or have a read over it and try and identify all of the issues. If you identify 1 or 2, but maybe leave a few out, you will get a lower mark than people who manage to identify all the key issues. Now, linking the major issues in the article to 1 or more topics presented in the subject. Again, if you're linking the most obvious issues and putting a brief description of the linkage, lower level of marks. Those students whose response identifies a range of relevant topics and theories and is able to deconstruct and evaluate the issues through the use of theories and arrive at a logical position, they're going to get the better mark. See here, copy of the article and a description of the issues. Even if you did the best job possible, that would still only give you 3 of the possible 9 marks for this question. So where the money is, where the marks are, at this area, linking the issues in the article to the topic and this area of critical capacity. So we want you to delve deep into the article, delve deep into the theories and make those connections and discuss what they might be. So perhaps if you've got an article which is discussing some of the, perhaps some measurement issues relating to a change in an accounting standard or some measurement issues regarding to taxation or allocation of profit, you might like to critically analyse some of those issues, look at your textbook, explain the issues surrounding measurement, look at how it's addressed within the article and what the author of the article says, and then perhaps look at some other references, read some other journal articles or some other material to actually give you a deeper understanding of that. Do some background reading. Now for the second question, the senior partner of the firm you work for has appointed you to a new role. Now your responsibility to review upcoming accounting standards and provide a report to the partners on the proposed standard and the opinions of other industry players on the changes. Here you are again, off analysing accounting standards. Now, first, you're required to find a current exposure draft or proposal for a new accounting standard which has been open for public comment. This can be found on the websites of most standard setting organisations. So if you look at the International Accounting Standards Board website, you'll be able to see their projects or current projects area. Go into there and you'll see where they've actually published the exposure draft and the comment letters that have taken place. So you remember from your learning in the area of accounting standard setting and accounting regulation and politics that an accounting standard setting organisation first publishes a draft or an exposure document. They ask the accounting community for comment on that, and then they incorporate those comments potentially to some degree in their revised accounting standards. So select 4 respondents, ideally from different types of organisations. So you'll see a lot of the organisations, perhaps if it's a change in lease standards or a change in accounting standards, particularly with insurance, you might find a lot of the insurance companies have commented. Good to get a letter from them. You might find a government body which is involved in it, insurance regulation has commented, get a letter from them. You might find that an accounting firm, one of the big 4 accounting firms has commented, get a letter from them. If you get 4 letters, all from industry players, so all from insurance resellers, you're likely to get only one perspective, and to develop a really nuanced and a really interesting assignment, you're not going to be able to do that with just one perspective. So try and get a variety of different ones. If you're having any trouble, talk to your subject coordinator. So, what the main question of the assignment asks you? In your own words, supporting your evaluation with appropriate citations referenced in APA style, you're required to include the following information in your report. Introduce the main issues of the standard. B, explain if there's generally a consensus or disagreement between the commenting parties. you're introducing the main issues, do they all agree on the areas that they're commenting on? Examine in detail why some parties may have a dissenting point of view. You might find that they're common on 3 or 4 issues and all of the parties differ on the 5th and 6th issue. Analyse the assumptions behind public interest, private interest and capture theories and evaluate which one best explains each of the comment letters. So again, I'll direct you to the rubric. You're required to put a copy of the comment letters in, not the accounting standard, and your lecturer may have discussed putting small screenshots of the letters in is sufficient, so consult with them. But if you provide no reference, so we don't know what comment letters you're talking about, no marks. If it's done correctly, 1 mark. Introduction of major issues in comment letters. Okay, 1 mark. I'll draw your attention to this specifically because we found in previous assignments some students would spend a lot of time analysing or introducing the issues in the comment letters, providing a summary of each comment letter. Detailed summary of each comment letter, not what we're looking for. We want a nice, clear identification of the issues in the articles, and that is worth 1 mark. Describing the issues and outlining where there is agreement and disagreement between the parties, and examining why some parties would have a dissenting point of view, 2 marks. Where the money is for this question is this area here, and obviously the harder part of the question. Analysing the assumptions behind public interest, private interest theory and capture theory. So we're wanting you to outline those 3 theories and provide the assumptions behind them. So if you see here, response provides some summaries of the theories of regulation and the underlying assumptions. If you're just providing a brief 1-line textbook definition, you're probably not going to do very well here. We're wanting you to critically evaluate the underlying assumptions of these theories of regulation. So go back and do some extensive reading rather than just popping in a quick outline. Critical capacity. Now, this is where we're wanting you to link this part of the question and this part of the question. So we're wanting you to examine what different respondents are saying with the theories. So what theory explains the perspective that these respondents are coming from? So you can read through these areas on your own and look at what we're actually asking for. But which theory best explains the comment letters? So have a think about that. Is it public interest, private interest or capture theory? Now some of them might be more obvious than others. It's very hard in this sense to actually identify capture theory in the comment letters. It's unlikely that you'll see that, but of the other 2, explain which one you think most likely represents it. When you're looking at capture theory, perhaps have a look at the Cortez article, which is available in your readings. It's got a really good example of capture theory, demonstrated through accounting regulation standard setting, and it'll help you understand capture theory. We want to see some of that understanding coming through in this part of the question. The third part of the assignment, so we've had question 1, question 2. The third part of the assignment's worth 6 marks of the total 25, and it's academic writing, presentation and referencing. And I'll reference here, see, my good friend and colleague, Glenn Davidson in Melbourne, who some of you are lucky enough to have as your lecturer. Absolutely no cut and paste. So type every word using an easy conversational style as if you were speaking to me in class. I know many of you are coming from a non-English speaking background. It is a difficult subject to study, even if English is your first language. However, most of you speaking face-to-face tend to have stronger English language skills than you do in the written form. Write as if you're talking. Don't be tempted to use far more complex vocabulary than you can really understand. So keep things in your own words. Don't use your right-click synonym to change your words. Perhaps some students have done this in the past, avoiding plagiarism. What they really do highlight is their lack of understanding of both the subject matter and of academic writing and of language. So just write how you talk. Read the information and write it out in your own words. Support your writing by referencing the literature that you've read in order to develop your thoughts. And again, the rubric, you'll see here, simplistic and appropriate language will get you a pass in this area. However, making things overly complex may have you slip into that fail column. Adherence to referencing guidelines, also very important, worth 2 marks. So we want to see your reference list included. 1 reference list for the 2 questions is more than sufficient. Prepared in accordance with APA guidelines. Correct in-text referencing as well. Make sure all of the articles, books and documents included in your reference list have actually been used in your assignment. The university's got some great referencing tools. You should be able to click on these links from the slides or type them into your browser. Now the online referencing tool or academic referencing tool available on the CSU website is fantastic. You can click on the APA 6 style, select the type of document you're trying to reference, the web, newspaper articles, legal materials, there's a wide variety there. And you can narrow it down to particular formats. So for this assignment, this one's particularly relevant. Newspaper article, you can select whether it's from a print newspaper or from an internet or from a database, and it will click on that 3rd box there and it will then go on to give you the details of exactly how you have to reference that document. So there's no shortage of information out there, and if you put the effort in, you'll be rewarded. Now we have found over time that those students that put a lot of effort into their referencing, that do that extra reading, don't actually just achieve well in their referencing and academic writing area. That level of attention to detail and that extra referencing pays off in terms of their quality of their answer. And that deeper understanding of the subject matter pays off again for them when they come a little bit further into the semester to their exams. So I hope I'm emphasising that enough. It is very important, and it's not just important for those 6 marks out of that 25. It flows on to the quality of the answer that you're preparing and that you're providing. So best of luck with your assignments. Get on to trying to find those articles. I forgot to mention that some really good sources for the first question are the CPA's In the Black newsletter, which is available inline, or the Chartered Accountants Association have got the CA have got a newsletter called Charter. It also has it's a great source of other accounting related articles. Try to avoid ones that are coming purely from a tax focus, because again it'll be harder to identify those linkages. Good luck.